Hey everybody, welcome to the Live Free podcast. This is our very first one, and we're lucky to have an amazing guest on today, the one and only Luis Baboon Palomino, 155-pound champ, bare knuckle fighting. Now, me and Luis go way back, and on this podcast, we're going to be talking about creating the best version of yourself throughout your life by continually developing yourself and focusing on your health. We want to change the paradigm of thinking that success is not purely monetary. Success can also be many different ways. Wealth can be achieved in many different ways, from time to health to being happy. I think are more important, especially now, than just monetary success. And I've found, and I'm sure Luis has found too, that when you prioritize your health and you prioritize developing yourself, monetary success soon follows. So I want to thank you, Luis, for coming in and being my very first guest on the podcast. I know you're a very busy man and you train all day.
Yes, sir.
But I'm happy that you had a chance to sit down with us and share a little bit of your journey with the viewers so they can understand how people like me and you go from learning what it's like to be in the fight game, to developing ourselves, to becoming something more than just a fighter.
Yeah, man. Hey, awesome. Thank you for having me, especially being the first one. This goes down in history.
Yeah.
Because I know when this guy does something, he puts his mind to it, man, it only grows. I mean, look at this place here to begin with. So thank you for having me, man. Feel real special.
Bro. For sure. Yeah, you are. You are a special person, especially in my life. We go way back. I remember back in the war memorial days when I first started watching local MMA shows, and you were this tornado of a fighter. You would have pink hair, red hair, and when you fought, everybody was on their feet. And I remember you doing your capoeira after the fights. And when you came out to knock people out. Yep. And you always put on a show. And I remember, watching you and thinking, wow, that guy, he's an amazing fighter. And at the time, you were just kind of like street fighting at the time,
Very true.
Could you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into MMA?
Well, let's say the starting point would be California. I'm a 10-year-old kid, comes to California. My dad brought me, and I did boxing for 3 years. That's how everything really began. It wasn't for me. My dad was taking my older brother Pedro to the boxing gym, and I asked, say, hey, can I go? And I was very scrawny, very skinny. My brother Pedro, he was blessed with my mom's side of the family's genes. We have Angola, Africa blood, and he was like always built and strong. So my dad was like, let me take him to the gym, and I wanted to tag along. I was the little brother, and I went over there. Pedro didn't really quite enjoy boxing, did like 2 weeks, and I stayed for the next 3 years. So that's how everything began for me. Then when we came to Miami, my father went to prison, and my mom had to start all over again with all her kids. No English speaking, no papers. It was tough for her, And then we come into a city where it was flooded with gang activity, as you remember. Talking about 20 years ago,
Yeah.
It was blood, gangs everywhere. And I never liked or enjoyed the whole 2-3 guys on one thing. I never liked unfairness, and I found myself fighting a lot. And every single knuckle has a story for it, I never joined the game. So, I was cool with one, I couldn't be cool with the other, and it was always a problem. So then with time, I ran into this friend of mine in the same block that I moved into, right here in Bay Drive, Mickey. And Mickey was training with Cesar Carneiro, right?
Hey, brother.
Yeah, hey. So that was capoeira. And, in Cali, I was boxing and breakdancing. So when I come here, I couldn't find boxing gyms anywhere. I found one boxing gym was like an hour away from us.
Right.
So my mom was like, she wasn't having it. And I'm not going to take 2 buses to get there, So I was mad. I was already mad that my dad was like, to me, my dad was taking from me,
For sure.
I was mad. I was a mad teenager, like most of us grow up, right? And my mom was very busy, man. She's raising 6 kids all on her own. And, through all the fighting and everything, I found capoeira through a friend of mine named Mickey. And I went to South Beach to start capoeira, but Cesar wasn't there. Vandelay was there. And Vandelay was separating from Cesar to start his own group called Abolição. This is the logo, right? And then, I started with Delay. Delay was taking care of his class. So Cesar was in Thailand filming The Quest with Van Damme. And I did about 6 months of capoeira while he was filming because he had just left. So I did like 5 to 6 months with Delay, and then Delay told me, look, I'm going to start my own group, blah, blah, blah. And, this is Cesar's gym, and this is his team, and I'm going to start my own thing. And I was the very first student. And he says, you could stay here. I know you came here looking for it. No. I started with you, so I'll continue with you.
Yeah, loyalty.
Loyalty, always, part of my life, right? Part of my personality. So we left, and we started Abolição, and it came out. It grew, man. It grew. It was international. In Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Colombia, and Peru. And it was all over the world, and it was a very big thing. And capoeira, it had its time where, it's kind of like fighting, because in capoeira, there's no headgears and gloves. There's, like, the rules are different, and so sometimes, like, we'll go to a baptism, what's called a baptism, where you celebrate the change of belt. But the baptism is where everybody wants to show off how good they are. So it's like my group against your group against. So it's kind of like a gang fight against a gang, but organized.
And with a little bit of breakdancing.
Yeah, exactly. With the acrobatics and all that. So it was a really fun part of my life, and great memories from capoeira days, man. If it wasn't for capoeira, I'd probably be somewhere else right now. That's the reason why I bring it up and I explain so much about it, because capoeira did really take me in a different route. I could have gone a complete different route, man. I seen my friends.
Well, if anybody's ever watched you fight, they know after a fight, especially a win, you see capoeira.
Yeah.
And a lot of people really like that about you, and that's kind of like your trademark.
Yeah,
in my
opinion,
out. At least. Yeah, for sure.
It
just comes out of you. You know what I mean? You can't help it. It's like celebrating.
I did my years with that, and I noticed that the competition wasn't going any further.
Right.
It came to the point where, we would get into these fights, like, well, it'll be 1-on-1. Next thing you know, somebody else is jumping in. Everybody's jumping in. So now you're talking about case catching, and I wasn't with that, and I'm not trying to catch cases and stuff like that.
Right.
So it didn't have to go that way, but it was like that.
Yeah.
And then it kind of died out. Capoeira died out because it was too much of that going on. And in Brazil, it might be normal,
right?
But in America, it's a different world.
Short-lived.
Yeah. So that kind of died out, and I had seen the Assunção brothers, Freddie Assunção, Rafael Assunção, and Junior Assunção, and they were in my capoeira group. And they had left to Atlanta, and they began jiu-jitsu. Next thing you know, I'm seeing Rafael Assunção fighting here in Miami. I was like, oh, I know him. I'm going to go check him out. And that night, George Masvidal fought in that card. He was the main event. And I went with Cesar. I had already left Abolição. And, it got to the point where Abolição, I wasn't going anywhere anymore. And I wanted something else, And Cesar and I started talking. And I joined this group, and he brought me. I was a professor in capoeira in Abolição, and Cesar, to test me, he's like, "Okay, give me the belt. You want to train with me, right?" So he took my professor belt. I took the professor. I gave it to him, and then he asked me, "What belt did you have before this?" I'm like, "Oh, that was I forgot what it's even called." I said, "Okay, I want that one too." I was like, "Okay."
Damn,
So he knocked me down 2 notches. Yeah, he was testing me, So I did that. I gave it to him, and his best guy was Energia, one of my best friends.
I remember Energia.
But Energia was super cool. Energia,
super cool.
He's super. Yeah. We had our face out. He was the best guy in there, and I have a thing that anywhere I go, I want to be the best.
Of course.
I want to be like the best.
Right.
So it became that challenge, and we made each other better. And with time, within a year, I became professor again, and then is when I saw Rafael coming to fight over here, and I told him, "Hey, I want to go see this fight. Let's go see it." And we went to go see it, and it motivated me because I remember Rafael from the hood, from the block, So I was like, man, this kid is over here fighting, and you're getting paid for it. And I was like, man, it was very motivating. And I have to admit that was because of the Assunção brothers that I took interest into MMA.
Right.
That I saw a way out of street fighting, because I was doing a lot of street fighting still.
Yeah.
I wasn't the type of person to get pushed around.
Right.
I was small, so it would happen a lot because I was always small and skinny. but I wouldn't allow it. And I had a blessing with heavy hands.
Yeah.
So that carried my weight. I had my heart and heavy hands.
speed.
And speed. So I knew that if I clipped you, I got you.
Yeah.
So, with time, Cesar said, okay, well, you want to do this? Then you have to humble down and start all over again. And he took me to George Pareda. All right. And I did my first 8 months of jiu-jitsu with George Pareda. With George Pareda, there was guys there that were like black belts, purple belts. And I was just getting tapped left and right. It's like, it's very humbling, man. When you're like good at something and then you're starting something else from scratch, it's like, that is very humbling.
Well, a lot of people, that deters them from doing something new.
Yeah.
Because people like to be good at stuff.
Yes.
And then when you got to start over, it can really slow you down. But what people don't realize is that when you humble yourself and you take on new challenges, that's when you really begin to develop as an individual.
You allow yourself to grow.
Right.
You allow yourself to grow to another level.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. I kept pushing. And this time I was working construction. And I had to wake up like 4:30, 5 in the morning, go do a morning class, to then go and do construction, to come back full of fiberglass. I couldn't even take showers because it was scratch and itch.
I'm sure your jiu-jitsu partners enjoyed
Yeah, man. I mean, they didn't feel it, but I felt it, and go and train again. And within my first, I'd say 8 months, I took my first pro fight in MMA. That's how it happened. After I saw George Masvidal perform that night, and I saw my friend Rafael win his fight too, I said,
Did
man,
George
I
win
want
that
to do
night?
this. Yeah, he won. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was awesome, man. He was, in Miami, he was like the biggest name.
For sure. I remember
especially
one of
that
those
time.
fights, he got caught by some guy. I remember him getting knocked out the first fight that I went to.
Yeah, Masvidal?
Yeah, he got knocked
By
out.
who? Knocked out completely?
Knocked out completely. Yeah, by a guy, I don't even remember his name. But it was so the reason it was so impactful is because George was so successful and that this guy beat him. And Kobita, how do you say his name? Kobita. He fought that night too.
Okay.
And then that's like, I think you didn't fight that night, but I think you fought on the next card. And that was really where like the MMA scene started in Miami, at the War Memorial Auditorium.
Yeah, War Memorial. Yes, that's exactly where it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I told Cesar, man, I want to fight that guy.
Yeah.
And we're talking, I have no wrestling experience. I have no idea what conditioning is. I have no idea what weight cutting is. I had no idea of nothing. And I'm like 8 months into jiu-jitsu, and not even. At that time, I was like 2-3 months. And I told him, I want to fight that guy right there.
Yeah.
And it's like, one day we will.
Yeah.
And
a lot of people don't know that you actually did fight him and beat him.
Yeah. Time passed.
Yeah.
I stuck to it, and I was against all the odds, man. I made every single mistake you can possibly make, man. I fought at 170, weighing like 165. My first few fights. I tried getting bigger, and I got bigger and bigger. I would get bigger to fight, because 145 wasn't even
Which
around.
would slow you down.
Yes. So it's like I was really against.
Yeah, I remember you fought Mike Bernhard.
Man,
How big was
Bernhard
he?
Was a monster.
He
man.
was a monster.
He was 6'4".
Yeah.
And not skinny.
No.
He was thick.
Yeah, he wasn't like a little skinny dude.
Man,
he was a big guy.
That was a tough fight.
That was a tough fight. You knocked him out, right?
No, I knocked him down 3 times. And that was my 1, 2, 3, 4. That was my 4th fight. No, man, I knocked him down 3 times. I hurt him bad. But I had took a pre-workout before that fight. Remember Redline? Red something.
Yeah, Redline is one
It
of
was
them.
Redline, right?
Yeah.
Or the one before that.
Yeah.
It was
No
strong.
disrespect to Redline.
I think No Explode. No Explode.
Yeah.
That one.
No explode.
No Explode, yes.
Explode your heart, maybe.
Yes, man. What happened for that fight is, in that time, my sensei, Daniel Valverde, had switched camps already, right? And since Daniel Valverde had took me to ATT, and he was with ATT at that time.
And was that ATT in Coconut Creek?
America's top team in Coconut Creek. And, it was Jamie, the tattoo artist. Miami Ink or
Yeah, no, I remember.
from South Beach, Amy. It was his
Jaime
show
or something like that,
yeah,
right?
It was his
Bald
show.
guy, right?
Yes, the bald guy. Yes,
Yeah.
It was his show, and he had like a bunch of I was kind of like blending in with ATT,
Right.
and I come in. And normally my first 3 fights, I was like the 8th fight or one of the last fights. So I come in that day, and they had all the ATT guys, I guess later, and I came in a little late to the arena. I remember this, right? And that was a horrible night, man. that was probably one of the like biggest bad nights of my life because a lot happened that night. I come into the arena a little late, and they're telling me I'm the first fight. And I'm like, what you mean I'm the first fight? Like, yeah, you gotta like, and so they're rushing me. I have my gym bag. I found the no explode little packet. I'm like, damn, I need something. I'm not even breaking a sweat. I went to the bathroom. I drank that's what they don't allow you to drink energy drinks before a fight.
Well, you shouldn't, right?
No, you shouldn't, man.
No.
Because you already have adrenaline spiked up.
Exactly.
So anything else, it's only gonna make it worse. Yes. So I'm fighting this monster. I'm first. He's by far the most experienced guy I was gonna face.
Sure.
The biggest guy.
Yeah.
And he was undefeated. He was 4-0. And I drank this thing. I didn't even break a sweat, man. They're doing the interview. I'm getting wrapped. I'm literally like from the bathroom getting wrapped with the camera in my face and going to fight. Like no warm up, no nothing. I didn't bring no sweat, not even a jab, not shadow boxing, nothing. Went straight to the fight. So what happened was, I guess because of the drink and the adrenaline, I hyperventilated in the middle of the fight. So I knocked him down 3 times, and every time I would knock him down, I'll find myself doing this. Like not once did I go, I couldn't exhale.
Yeah.
So I fought the whole first round like that, and I knocked him down 3 times, but every time I would knock him down, I would just stand there, and people were like, why aren't you finishing him? It's because I can't breathe. I'm like this. So I didn't know what was going on. So when I get to the corner, my corner, they noticed, what's going on. I don't know. I can't breathe. So, and I couldn't feel my fingers. I wasn't receiving enough oxygen. And the second round comes in. He says, oh, well, I'm going to throw the fight then. I'm like, no. I almost got him. I'm going to knock him out. So I go back in there, and we start, and we close gap. And he didn't even do a takedown. We just like stumbled to the ground, right? Yeah. But I had no type of energy, and I'm at the bottom, and I guess the referee realized that I was not breathing right. And he stops it for a second, like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I just can't breathe. So he stops
Which is what you don't want to say.
Yeah, he stops the fight right there. Everybody's like, the paramedics were like, what happened? This guy was beating the crap out of this guy, right?
Yeah.
And, they end the fight, and all I remember was I go into the elevators with the second floor, and I black out, and I open my eyes again, and I'm in the ambulance. And then I black out, open my eyes again, and I'm in the hospital. That's all I saw.
Yeah.
And my ex-coach, Cesar Carneiro, is right next to me, and he's like, you know what happened? And I'm like, yeah, I blacked out like 3 times. I was like, no, you blacked out 22 times.
Damn.
He said, I counted it.
Wow.
I thought you were going to die.
Yeah.
So I was like, really? I was like, yeah, I only remember 3 times. No, I counted it. You went in and out, in and out. They had to inject me with something to dilate me or something like
to slow your heart rate.
Yeah, because it was hyperventilation. Is what it was. Don't take energy drinks before a fight.
Don't take them at all.
Ever.
Just get more sleep.
Yes, that works.
Yeah.
And reason why it was my worst night was because it was my first loss.
Right.
And I go home to find my whole home flipped inside out.
Really?
I got robbed at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, so
they knew you were at the fight.
Yeah.
So it's probably somebody you knew.
Yeah, definitely.
Typical.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was the worst.
So that was your early MMA career.
Yes.
Yeah, and I can attest to how much you grew over time with Master Cesar and with Daniel. And you really became a 4-time champion.
Yes.
I remember you won championships in the Northeast, right?
Yep.
You won a championship down here with the CFA.
Two here, yeah.
2 here.
CFA and Glenn Rice organization where I fought Masvidal.
Oh, yeah. G-Money.
G-Force.
G-Force,
yes,
yeah.
G-Force, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where you fought Masvidal.
That's where I fought Masvidal too, yeah.
And you won by unanimous decision or split?
Split decision.
Split decision.
Yeah, split decision.
Yeah, that was a good fight. You guys were both really respectful of each other. You could tell that you guys were...
No, really.
Well, I mean, fight-wise.
Oh, fight-wise, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he respected me a lot, yes.
He respected your power. You respected his power.
Very true.
And you guys were... It was a chess match.
Yep, and he was 8 pounds heavy.
Yeah, 8 pounds heavy.
He came 8 pounds heavy.
Don't forget that, George.
8 pounds heavy. He was not trying to cut any of it either.
Yeah.
He had to pay me because
you had to get that money.
I'm already on weight. Of course, I'm smaller. And this dude is drinking water when they give you 2 hours to cut that weight. He's just drinking water in front of me right there.
Yeah.
And I told the commissioner, like, hey, man, this guy's not even trying to cut the weight,
Yeah.
And he's like, look, we're going to have to either cancel the fight because there's a 6-pound allowance in Florida.
Or you can say it's cool.
Yeah. No. 6 pounds only, not 8.
So you couldn't
so
even be
I had to give him 2 pounds for free.
Oh, wow.
So I had to do a new contract.
Wow, on
to
the
give
spot?
him, yes, on the spot, to give him 2 pounds over so the fight can actually happen. And now that I did that, the commissioner was like, then you can negotiate the extra pounds if he doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
It says, or else the fight is not happening. So that's what I did. And we negotiated. I made an extra $2K for him not making weight because he didn't even try.
Nice.
So I did fight him a little heavier.
That helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And buy me a nice TV with it.
Oh, yeah. So as you evolved as a fighter, you won championships, but you never made it to the UFC. And I think a lot of that, where you look at guys that you beat that made it to the UFC, and I think a lot of that had to do with, especially coming from the same camp you did, our management. You know, they were
non-existent.
Great. Yeah, our coaches were great at coaching fighting.
Yes.
But they didn't know anything about management at the time.
No.
You know, and neither did we.
No.
You know, but we knew how to fight, but we didn't know how to get to the big scene, you know, how to get that shot.
Yeah.
And I remember, a lot of people might not know this, but you fought the current UFC 155-pound champion, Justin Gaethje, twice. Yeah.
Yep.
And I was there at the first fight in the corner. And that fight was, you can look it up on YouTube, as the greatest MMA fight you've never seen.
Yeah, out of UFC. Yes, yes.
Not even, just the greatest MMA fight.
It always pops out. I always see it.
That you haven't seen. And I remember you and Justin were going at it. It was a war. And I didn't think Justin was that good of a fighter until I saw him fight. You know, because I had watched you fight. I always expected you to win.
Yeah.
Every fight I saw you fight, I expected you to win. And, you know, I saw you train, so I knew what you were capable of, you know. And I thought this was going to be a big upset for you, but he brought it. You know, he is a very, very skilled fighter, and that was a rougher version of what you see now.
Yes, it's cleaner now.
But I will say one thing is I remember distinctly that there was a takedown that he attempted, and that you landed on your foot bad, and you twisted your ankle. And after that, you didn't have as much mobility. And your style of fighting is very mobile. In and out, you don't take a lot of damage.
Yes, I move a lot. That's if you look at that tape, the very first fight I had with him, the fight starts with a kick. Both of us come into the middle and we both throw the same low kick. But the bottom of my foot, like right where the ankle is at, hits his shin. And that's what like swelled up my ankle. And then that little twist that you saw, that just
killed it.
That killed my movement.
Yeah.
It killed my ability to throw my own low kicks.
Yeah, I know.
He ended up killing me with my low kicks.
I know.
You know, like,
I was there. Throw the leg kick.
I couldn't.
Why is he gonna throw the leg kick?
You know, the kick was, my ankle was swollen. I had the pictures, man. Like this, it was huge.
Yeah, you can't use
that
it.
Fight. It was so big. It was the last or the second to last fight in my contract. We broke the NBC Sports ratings, and I get a call as I'm landing in Miami. Okay, because this fight was in Arizona, in his hometown. And I get a call from the president, Ray Seffel. And Ray's like, you know, I'm down at this point. You know, I lost his fight, I lost his championship. And I didn't realize how big it was. It was the first time I ever trended. I was trending online. And Ray Seffel doubled my contract. Like, it was the first time that you like hear about somebody losing a fight and getting doubled. Double my contract and set up the next fight right away.
Oh, you had that fight a couple times.
Yeah.
You had him rocked a couple times.
Yeah. I wasn't as conditioned as I should have been. You know, as you remember, I can be a little cocky and overconfident.
For sure.
I didn't think that he can push a pace like that, man.
Yeah, he pushed a pace.
And that's what makes him.
He can push a pace.
Yeah, he can push a pace,
and he's powerful.
Oof.
And he's skilled.
Yes.
You know, no
and
wonder
he can take a hit.
Yeah.
The dude can take a hit, man.
Yeah. He's a tough mother.
I think he takes out Khabib.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's ever had a chance, it's
going to be him.
Yeah. You know,
it's between him and Chandler.
Yeah.
Michael Chandler's up there too.
You think so?
UFC just signed him too.
Yeah,
so.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Justin has the power.
He's more aggressive with that. You know, more complete. I think Chandler's more like a boxer with wrestling.
Right.
You know, Gaethje has the kicks.
Everything.
You know,
Yeah, the pedigree.
Yeah.
Now, you know, you said something a little earlier where you were like, you don't think you were in the best condition.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that now you're smarter about the way that you train? Because I remember we used to train every day, twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
We would do 10 rounds of sparring on Fridays.
We made that up.
Yeah, we made that up. I don't know why we made that up.
It's still a thing.
Yeah, it's still a thing. And I think that, you know, from my own perspective, at least having a full-time job at the time, that training may have been too much.
It was, man.
You know?
It was.
And now I see you have a new strength and conditioning coach What's his name?
Abner Pareda.
Abner Pieta? What is it?
Pareda.
Pareda. You can see I'm struggling with my Spanish names today. But I've noticed following you that Abner does a really good job. I know I watch the way he conditions you, and as a strength and conditioning coach myself, I look at that and I think you're in really good hands.
Yes.
Because he looks like he gives you the right stimulus at the right times and doesn't overdo it.
Yep. And preaches a lot about recovery, man. Rest and recovery, which is some things that we learned the hard way, right? Even you.
Right.
We did, you got to think about it like this. MMA Masters, what we started so many years ago, it's like you said, it's not to point no fingers, oh, he was wrong or I was wrong. No, it's not that. It's that we all started together and we grew together.
Right.
And that's literally what happened. It was Team Noguera turned MMA Masters. So you're talking about jiu-jitsu world-class, world champion, judo and jiu-jitsu, amazing coach. And then you're talking about a capoeira mestre that became an MMA fighter. The capoeira mestre never boxed or kickboxed, but he did a damn good job for the knowledge that he had, right? I mean, if Cesar has something to offer, and I would say the best things, the timing and the skill of kicking that Cesar has is out of control.
Out of control.
So, we came into this business together and we learned together. So we had to learn together through my professional career, your professional career, and others.
Right.
So we had to make a lot of mistakes. We didn't know about the weight cutting and the recovery.
We didn't know anything about that.
And we were constantly overtraining, man.
Constantly.
We were overtraining. We were always overtraining. And then me, I had this thing in my head that I had to do more than everybody else. So I made it even worse.
It wasn't just you, bro. It wasn't just you. And we were.
No, I gotta do more.
We were practice for 2 hours and let's go run.
Let's do more.
Yeah, let's go run again.
And it's just, you told me one day, more is not better.
Right.
Yeah. More is not better all the time.
The hard way too.
Yes.
And that's something that I want people listening to this to understand is that you have to find the right stimulus in your life for the goals that you're setting in your life. You just can't grab any training program and jump on in and do the training program that you found online. You need to look at how much sleep you're getting, what kind of foods you're eating, what your goals are, and every good training program should have recovery built into it. Now that I'm training Jairzinho, I take those lessons that we learned and I make sure that when I train him, I give him appropriate stimulus, but I'd rather do less than do too much. Because guess what? When you get to the fight, you need to have that extra gear.
Yeah.
You don't want to burn that gear off in training.
Man.
So when you get there, it's not there. Yep. You want to have that extra little bit that you didn't tap into in training because you didn't need it there. You built up to a certain degree, and then now you have that little bit left. So when you got to dig deep, you can dig deep and it's there.
Yep.
And I think that watching you now, the way that you've changed has led to where you're at now.
Yes.
And how you've prioritized being with Vince, where your son Vince was in and out of your life due to things out of your control. But now you've prioritized being a good parent over a lot of things. You've prioritized rest and recovery over training too much. You've prioritized training the right amount with the right people. And it's led to you becoming the champ at 155 pounds in bare knuckle fighting.
Rest and peace of mind. This is literally what made the biggest change in me. I'm 39 years old. I turned 40 right now, October 9th. Like in a few days.
Right.
And if I can say anything that has allowed me to get to this point how I am, is the ability to know when to stop and rest, and the peace of mind. I never had that. It wasn't in my control to be able to help my son grow. That messed with me huge. My entire I've lost dumb fights, and not because I wasn't physically ready or capable, it's because my mind wasn't there.
Right.
And I suffer because the biggest thing that I have in my life is my son, right?
Exactly.
I moved, I was engaged, I was in a relationship for 4 years. The engagement and the relationship fell off. Like a couple of months after the mother of my son came once again and just, she would do that. Just take off for 3-4 months and I wouldn't hear him. I was like, what the hell is going on? So I did it again. At this time, Vince is already 15. He's old enough to grab a phone and be like, hey, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But when you're being pushed by your parent and you try not to,
you don't know any better.
Yes, all right? So I said, you know what, just give him his space. I'm gonna give him his space. You know, he's old enough to understand. He's not a little baby anymore. You know, because we did it for years.
Right.
And at that point, I said, you know what? I don't think that Miami has much to offer me anymore. And I made a change. First time in my life. You know, first I jumped off a plane because I'm scared of heights. I hate being scared of things. So I jumped
Face
off a
your
plane.
fears.
Yes, face that first. Get that out of the way. And it was great because I love it now, right?
Yeah.
Jumped off a plane. I said, okay, I'm going to New Mexico. And I took off to New Mexico, man. You know, I sold everything I had. You know, I said, my son's going to be okay. When he's ready, he can get in contact with me. Anybody can get in contact with me from any part of the world.
Sure.
You know? I went over there for 8 months, Jackson Wink. And that's where, you know, I had a lot of improvements and a lot of time to think.
So your come to Jesus moment there where you're like figuring out what you want to do.
Yes,
in the
I mean,
future?
those times in the Sandia Crest, the mountain, it was like 11,000 feet up. You know, like those mornings, you know, like the change of scenery, man, it gave me like a different aspect. And then with time, I got my first fight being in the camp for the Russian organization ACB, which is now called ACA. And I won, you know, against a dude that was like on a 9-fight win streak, crazy wrestler, but I was so conditioned for that fight. He took me down, knocked him out in the second round, you know, and then I get a call, you know, and it's Vince. And hey, how you doing, Dad? I said, oh, hey, how you doing, man? But we started talking, and I said, okay, that's all I needed to hear, you know. So I moved back, came back to Miami, got a place, you know, got him to live with me, all that, and you know, things been going great since then. Now my son is, you know, just graduated. He's already enrolled in college. You know, he's studying mechanical and aerospace engineering.
Wow.
You know, so he's really good because he's always been a bright kid. He just didn't have that
focus,
that balance, stability. That's the word, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess seeing my son being able to have a good shot at life gave me that peace of mind so I can really focus on what I can still do at this age.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that I never really allowed like the drug scene to get into me has allowed and the way that I eat has allowed my body to maintain itself. Most of us at the age of, you know, mid-30s, 40s, you're done.
Right.
And I feel physically awesome other than my old injuries. Like I have 2 torn ligaments on the right knee. That's why I don't do MMA no more.
Right.
I was boxing MMA fighters for the last 3 years,
right,
hurting my record.
Right.
You know, losing split decisions. But you know, I'm fighting a guy, the Russian in Russia. You know,
Sure.
You know, so
you got to knock out the Russian in Russia.
You know, so you know, when I started seeing I'm hurting my record, I'm like, man, without shoes, I can't even pivot for a punch or a sprawl. Because my toe doesn't bend. The toe of hell.
Right.
My toe doesn't bend. I have bone fragments stuck in my joint.
Right.
What's that going to require? Surgery. What
Right.
does my knee require? Surgery. At 39 years old, you don't got time for surgery, man.
No.
By the time I'm done recovering, career's over. So I say, you know what? Forget it. You know, I'm going to try to get a boxing fight. So I was trying to get a boxing. I was 6 months training. I got a contact with Dino. I started training with, I've been training with Tito for the last 4 years. And I'm just training boxing. And I'm trying to get a boxing fight. We're going on 6 months with guys that are like 10-0, 17-0, 20-0, saying no. I'm not saying that they're scared. It's that they're smart.
Right. What do they got? They got a lot to lose.
What they got to win against the 0-0 boxer that's
Older
39
guy.
years old.
Right.
They have nothing to win. So it's a smart, decision for them. It's not like they were scared. It's just like, what do they win, So I understand that, but it was frustrating because I was getting into shape, and nothing. And then I see the bare knuckle scene pop up. And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, right up your alley.
Yes, man. Yeah.
No takedowns.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
as you know, and everybody that has followed my fights, I'm trying to take your head off. I'm trying to make a show for the fans. I'm trying to make a show for myself. There's no higher feeling than knocking somebody out.
Well, and I think that something that people don't realize that you do damage without taking a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Your head movement's really good.
Yes.
You're able to get in and out. So when you think of bare knuckle, you think, oh man, that guy's gonna get messed up.
Cut up and all that, yeah.
Right. But with you, now you don't have to worry about somebody shooting underneath your shots.
Yep.
So it leaves you open to really be the fighter that you are.
Yes. No, it gave me life. It gave me more years of fight. I would say 2 more at max. And that's assuming that I'm still winning, defending my belt. Because if
Sure.
not, I'm not gonna keep fighting. But having the boxing shoes on, I can now pivot because I have the rest of my toes to bend.
Right.
You know, I can now throw a good right hand and be stable. I don't have to worry about the takedowns with my knee or grappling, getting twisted. You know, so it's like, oh man, I can do this for a couple more years.
Yeah.
Because you still have that in you where, like, you know, every fighter goes through that. You know, you're going through the time of your life where you're reaching that age, like, hey, you know, it's about that time, and nobody wants to stop. You know, nobody wants to stop because it's a high you're never gonna get.
Yeah.
I mean, not that specific high, right? It's like
it's a natural high.
It's a natural high, you know.
Yeah, and it's a way of testing yourself.
Yes. So when I came into the bare knuckle scene, man, I was like, man, I can do this and I can
rejuvenate.
Well, yes. So then, not having to wrestle, not having to grapple, I have, like I said, 2 torn ligaments in the knee. So not having to do all that stuff, you know, it's like, I can do this boxing thing for a little while.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like you said, I haven't taken a lot of damage.
Right.
You know, I was mostly the one giving damage. If I lost fights, yeah, I've had my TKOs. Like, I've gotten knocked down.
Yeah.
I've never been knocked out completely. I've never been blacked out. You know, I've seen little scars here and there, but I've never been out. Like, you know, I was always the one, you know, giving the damage. You know, I think my worst damage receiving fights was like just in cage fights.
And a lot of that was leg kicks.
Yeah, you know, so it's like it wasn't like I got, you know, so just the ability to be able to let go of my hands how I've always wanted, it brought that life again in me, you know, like, oh man, my son is doing good, he's living with me. I just bought him his first car. You know? He's after winning my last fight, he's done so great. Deal's a deal.
Right.
He's doing perfect with his chores. He's working.
He deserves it.
He's going to school. Man, like, I was more happy that, hey, here you go, boop.
Right.
Got him his first car, and, you know, having him stable and going forward, you know, I have an amazing girlfriend, you know. And it's like, it's the best partnership I've ever had in my life. Like, we literally work together. You want to talk about peace of mind? We don't argue.
Right.
Like, we've been together for a year now, and there's no... We can disagree on something, but there's
complement each other.
Yeah, there's no stress.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. No fights or, like, you know.
So you would say that your lowered stress levels have allowed you to kind of reach your full potential?
100%. 100%. You know how they say, you know, a lot of it is, they say, you know, fighting it could be about 80% mental. It's very true, man.
Oh, for sure.
It's very true, man, because it's the peace of mind that my partner gives me, the peace of mind that I have from having my son moving forward in life. It allows me to be able to focus on myself, you know, and see everything. Like, I can literally see everything now. I can see in the middle of the week when I'm like, oh, look, just yesterday, right? The day before yesterday, I did track with Coach Dino. Wednesday morning, I start my first track day with Abner Pereira. So I couldn't say no because he already said, hey, this is the date. And he's really busy.
Right.
So no problem. And him, it's 5 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
So I'm at 5 a.m. in the morning, do track with him, go to train with Dino. Okay. From Dino, go home. I train a client, rest, eat. I knocked out. It was like 7 p.m.
Good.
Went to sleep. I didn't think I was going to do good today. I just finished sparring with a guy that's like 15, 20 pounds heavier than me. And he's not slow. He's tall, long, you know?
Yeah.
And I did awesome. Why? Because I rested.
Yeah.
I felt good. I woke up and I'm like, man.
Yeah.
I was completely rested, you know? And that's another thing that you have to pay attention to, man, is rest is just as important as hard training.
Oh, maybe more. Maybe more.
Yeah.
Because you can train hard as much as you want. That doesn't mean you're going to get results. But if you get rest and you train sufficiently, you're going to continue to progress.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of people are so used to, especially in America, working hard, but not taking time to decompress, rest.
Man, yes.
And we're so wrapped up in monetary success that we're always trying to get more when we don't realize how much we actually already have. And that when we can finally channel our gratitude about what we do have, we begin to receive more because we're no longer looking for the next thing. We're focusing on what we have, our family, your son, your partner, and understanding that, yeah, well, guess what? Maybe you're not able to do MMA anymore, but there is something that came to you at the right time that allowed you to continue and even evolve to another level. Because I remember when, even as an MMA fighter, this is probably a dumb metric to use, but you probably only had like 5,000 to 10,000 followers. But ever since you became the bare knuckle champion, now you're reaching more people.
Yeah.
And I mean, the goal is to help people become the best version of themselves.
Yes.
So how do you do that? Well, you might have to do that by beating one person up, but that allows you the platform to maybe open your own gym, maybe move to the next stage of your career where I know that you're interested in opening performance enhancement clinics, and maybe combining those two things together where you have gyms where you really look at people for where they're at.
Yes.
Because as an owner of a gym, I know that people come in the gym sick. They come into the gym out of shape.
Yep.
If you take someone in a stressful environment and you throw them into a gym environment, which is also a stress, and you don't subtract any of the other stresses, now you're going to begin to run that person further away from health and closer to disease. So I think, and what the aim of this podcast is to get people to begin to think about what they really want in their lives. What is their mission? You don't want a job, you want a mission.
Yep.
Your mission is to become the champion, and everything else will follow with that. You got to have certain values. You value your family, you value your health. You told me before that you love being a student. So you value development.
Yes.
And development is key to continually growing throughout life. Because if you are living a life to go to work, come home, and then because you work all week, you want to party on the weekends, you want to escape your life, then you need to rethink about what you're doing. Because life needs to be lived every day.
Yes.
Life doesn't need to be lived only on the weekend. So if we can find a life where we're happy, we're healthy, we're continually developing ourselves, we're going to see the money follow that.
Yes.
Instead of chasing the money, you should chase greatness.
Yes.
You should chase excellence. Because if you find something that you like and you become excellent at it, guess what? Somebody else is going to want to do it too.
Yep.
And then you can teach them. And you'll always be able to offer your excellence to the world. And if we can create more people, more excellence, we're going to be able to see a change in the way we do things. Yeah. For too long, I think we've been looking at politics. We've been looking at people to lead us instead of becoming leaders ourselves. And figuring out what we really want in life and taking a chance and going for it. And for me, at least, when I was a firefighter, I wasn't happy. Even though I was doing what I loved when it came to fighting, I had one foot in MMA and one foot in the real world. And you can't do either one of those things with one foot. You need to be all in.
Yes.
And what I had to learn the hard way, and which is what I'm trying to teach people, especially people that are listening to this podcast, is that you need to dedicate 100% to what it is that you love to do. And of course, we all need to pay bills. You're going to have to find ways to make it happen. But guess what? When you're not working, you could be working on what you love. Like the guys that helped me with this podcast, Current Station, look them up on Instagram. Those guys are two young guys who have dedicated their lives to helping other people. And because they're helping other people are helping them. And that's how you grow in this world. You don't grow from stepping on people. You grow from pulling people up.
Yep.
And I know for a fact that I've been in places where you've pulled me up, where I was learning stuff. And you were the big time fighter. You were the one that knew what they were doing, and you didn't have to help me, but you would stay, you would help me. We would go out on the weekends, we'd go to the beach, we'd work on stuff. And that's what, really made me appreciate you as a person, is that you always were there for me in my worst situations and my best situations. Like you said earlier, loyalty.
Yes.
And loyalty is a big thing for me too. And what people don't realize is that if you have integrity and you are loyal not only to other people, but to yourself and to what you believe.
That's the key right there.
The key, right, exactly. And you love yourself, then you're going to have the ability to love others.
Yes.
And I think that you're a walking example of what it is to continually develop yourself.
Yes.
Even at the age of 40, you're still growing. You're still becoming a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
And people are always thinking, I went to school, I went to college, I'm done. I don't need to go to school anymore. No, you need to keep developing yourself.
Yes.
Because if you're not building your dream, you're building somebody else's dream. And if you are continually working on yourself just like you have, you're going to become a champion. You may not become the bare knuckle champion because you're going to have to fight Baboon, but you're going to become a champion in life.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about, becoming a champion in life. And I know that you're at this point in your career now, and I want people to kind of understand what's next for you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you got coming down the pipe, especially when it comes to the bare knuckle fighting? Because I know there's a guy, his name is Jim
Allers.
Jim Allers, and actually he trained at MMA Masters for a while,
old
right?
training partner of ours,
Yeah, you guys were training partners. I remember I wrestled him one day. Sensei, when I came back after 3 years, he puts me with this guy. I'm thinking, oh, this little skinny guy, he's tough as shit.
Yeah, he is.
He's tough as shit. He whipped my ass. I was like, damn, this guy's really tough.
He's strong too, right?
He's really strong. And I know that you guys have a little bit of a past. I've seen you guys clashing heads literally at press conferences. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your next fight?
All right. So, Jim Allers. All right. So Jim Allers was a training partner of mine, I'll say about maybe a good year, maybe a little more. So the time that we met Josh Saman,
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. And we met Jim through Josh and Combat Fight. That's what it's called. Yeah, Combat Fight, Mitchell, and all those guys. We met them all through Josh. Josh was awesome, man. He was such a good friend.
Yeah, he's a cool
He was
dude.
a monster, Jim and I trained, and I never said nothing before because you know how I'm very respectful. If I know you and we're cool, we have no problem, then yeah. Now I talk because he's been talking a lot. Oh my God, it's like, oh man, it's like in MMA Masters, I can close my eyes and hit Jim in the face. Now, yeah, I can hit him at will. The dude can take a hit and walk forward.
Yeah.
It's like a punching bag.
Yeah.
But walking forward. So that you give it to him. He can take a hit. He ain't scared. He pushes forward. You develop respect for a person like that. You know?
Sure.
So I've always had respect for him. We never had no problem. We were cool. And I entered BKFC through a tournament. I was trying to enter BKFC at 145. God knows what he's doing because it didn't happen. And you know what? At this age, to cut down to 145, it's just a lot.
Probably not
man.
the best thing.
Yeah, it's not the best thing. Actually, that's another thing that gave me life is going back to 155 and being able to walk around this weight right here and feeling good. Walking around 170, 175. Like, I don't have to lose more than 15 pounds. Sometimes 20 if I'm out of shape.
Right.
So like just that alone gave me a lot of life. And I was in a 155 tournament with Jim, and Jim and I agreed to be in a tournament in opposite sides of the bracket. That way, we face each other in the end for the title. So, fight one comes, my debut. I literally probably got hit once in a 5-round fight. And in BKFC, the rounds are 2 minutes, 1 minute break. I mean, you can't do 3 5-minute rounds without gloves, man. Your hands puff up really quick. I did 5 rounds, and I could hear the commentator after I watched the video saying, I've never seen somebody do a 5-round bare knuckle fight and not have a touch in their face. And back to what you were saying earlier, my head movement, man, very underrated. Like I have very good head movement, very good leg movement, footwork, and power in my hands. I have speed, so it's very hard to hit me.
I can attest to that.
So I beat this guy up in Brito, and Jim fights that night, and he had a war of his own for 5 rounds. I get a call, and the promoter says, "Hey, you're fighting Jim next." Mind you, we agreed.
The tournament.
We agreed to go to the third.
Screw the tournament.
So he's like, "Hey, you're fighting." I was like, "What am I supposed to say? This is my first fight." Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Right?
That's what you're doing. Yeah. That's why you're here.
Exactly. So then they give the same talk to Jim. Jim wrote to me on Facebook, and he's like, "Look, man, if he's gonna just put me with you next, and if I'm gonna fight Palomino next, then it's gonna be I'm gonna ask for the title. I'm gonna tell him to scratch the tournament and put the title on the line." And I've already got, and it's true, Jim already had a 3-fight win streak with I think 2 or 3 knockouts, 3 knockouts. And that fight, when I did my debut, was his 4th fight. So he's 4-0, right? The only one that has more fights, more wins than him is the champion at 135 is 5-0. Now 6-0.
Yeah, so now they're going to throw this new guy in who he knows is tough as shit.
Yes.
And he's got to fight you after winning 4 fights, and you've only had 1 fight.
I understand Jim's call on that one, like, hey, man.
You do the same thing.
Yeah, I think you should do that, ask for it because you deserve it. I've been saying this since before I started BKFC.
Right.
I was part of the team saying, hey, give Jim Adams a title shot.
Right.
I never hated on the guy.
No.
No. So, he deserved the title shot. So then I told him, look, I can't say anything like that. This was my first fight. If I have to fight King Kong next, I have to fight King Kong
anybody.
next. So I said I agreed to it. He didn't. And then Corona hits, right? And the tournament got scratched out completely. Meanwhile, the tournament gets scratched out. I told Dave, look, man, I'm 39. I need to stay active. I can't just, if I'm going to fight for you, this is the first thing that I tell any promoter. I like my activity. I like to stay active. I don't like sitting around waiting because you have no motivation, man.
No.
As a champion, you keep training.
Right.
But it's not the same when you have a target.
No.
So I asked him for a fight outside of the tournament. I was going to go up in weight. I was fighting at 55 already. I was going to fight at 160 to fight somebody out of the tournament. So he gave me some guy there. The whole card falls out, right? So this is like, I'm already in a camp. The whole camp fell off. I didn't have no, the show, it's not like the guy fell off. The whole show fell off.
Right.
So I'm like, damn. So I'm like this now. So then Dave Feldman is the promoter. He answers Jim's wish to scratch the tournament and give the title shot, right? So he gives him the title shot to fight me. I say yes, of course. He said yes for about a week. A week later, I get a message on Facebook from Jim. And it's, hey, man, he starts like this, like, I wanted you to hear this from me first. I'm like, oh.
Damn.
This is
pulling out.
Yeah, this is my second camp now,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit, man. I was like, okay.
Would he get the virus?
No, he says that his coach had gotten the virus. Right? I said, okay. And have you gotten a test?
Right.
And he says, I just did my test. I needed 4 days until it comes in. I said, okay, so if you're negative, are you still fighting? So he says, look, I spoke to my family, I spoke to my trainer, and we're going to just sit this one out. So I'm like, fuck. I'm like, damn. All right. I'm like, okay. I said, all right. Well, he said it because, he lives with his parents.
Yeah.
He
doesn't want
helps
to risk it.
Yeah, his parents are older.
Which is understandable.
Yeah, so I understand. I understand everything, man.
Yeah. But he should understand when they put a new opponent in.
That's where the problem begins.
Right.
Because I said, hey, man, look, I understand your decision. To your coach, I wish him a speedy recovery, blah, blah. And I move on, right? So then Jim is 4-0. So then they find a guy, Isaac Valley Flag, that's 3-0 in bare knuckle. So a fight difference from Jim.
Right.
His last win was against Melvin Guillard. We all know Melvin Guillard's a killer.
He's a killer.
This dude beat Melvin Guillard. Melvin Guillard's hand broke or fractured in the 3rd or 4th round. Regardless of what, if you watch the fight, he's winning every round.
Right.
Okay? They give me Valley Flag. And this is like the next day after I just spoke. Jim, no, this is the same day, right? Jim just texted me and told me this stuff, right? No. Then they call me and they give me Valley Flag. And then he writes to me a message and tells me, hey, happy for you that you're still going to be able to fight, this and that. Just bring my belt so bring my belt back to my hand. Right. And I was like, yeah, okay, Jim, cool. I leave my house and I get to the gym. I open my Instagram and I see a post of him talking crap.
Yeah.
Him and his wife or his girlfriend, they're talking and saying, oh, how are they still making this a title fight? Baboon doesn't even deserve a title. Like, he's not worthy. Like, brother, you want to talk about being worthy, right? Who has Jim fought?
Right.
Because he was talking about my record the other day, right? We'll talk about that story later. Because we already know, some people know how that ended.
Right.
Right? So, like, you're talking about my record. Who have you fought? What name sticks out that you fought when you were in UFC?
Right.
Because I've heard plenty of people that have knocked out and then got signed to UFC.
Right.
We were speaking about it earlier. Like, to shed some light on that, it's like, it's unfair. We didn't have the right push, the right management,
sure, whatever happened.
Whatever happened. But the matter of fact is that I've seen at least 6-7 opponents that I beat in UFC.
Right.
And some of them right after I beat them.
Right.
Some people
some are champions right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, he starts talking about, this is just talking a lot of crap, man. And, to put it, he was just, to me, it sounded like a hater. It sounded like sounded salty, and
you won the title again, Valley Flag, right?
Yeah. So then,
and he was upset.
He was upset. Like he didn't know. He hasn't stopped talking.
Right.
I go over there. I knock Valley Flag out. Valley Flag has never been put down, not even in sparring.
And how fast did you put him down?
45 seconds on camera. If you count from the bell ring to him going down, it's 25 seconds.
Right.
Okay, but 45 seconds.
45 seconds.
All right, so that's what they call it out, because until they, do the whole thing. But I knock him out and everything, and what do? I come back, and Jim starts talking a lot about, the first thing you do is talk about me. I'm like, yeah, because nobody's ducking you.
Right.
Okay, look, the best thing the Jim should have done is stay quiet. It was your choice not to show up to the fight.
Right.
You weren't infected. It was your coach. I said this, and I'll say it again. I wouldn't want none of this to happen to my trainers. But if that was to happen to one of my trainers or both of my trainers, I'll probably be online with them hitting the bag.
Right.
I'm not going to stop training. I'm not going to pull out the fight. Right. I'm not sick. I'm going to the fight.
That's your job.
I'll probably have you in my corner and my girlfriend or something. Like, I'm going to fight. Exactly. I'm going to fight. So you can't come and complain about a choice that you made, man.
Right.
Nobody took it. It's not like they said, we're not going to give the title shot to Jim. We're going to give it to Valley Flag and Baboon.
Yeah.
That's not what happened.
And plus, anyways, he's going to get another shot.
Yes.
What's he crying about?
He's next.
Right.
So when I came back to the back, I'm like, and they interviewed me, I was like, hey, look, what I want Jim next.
Right.
Because nobody's trying to duck you, man.
No.
We were supposed to fight now.
Right.
He didn't show up. He's talking all this crap. So let's do it next. Because I need to get Jim out the way.
Right.
Jim is in my way right now. Right. I've never been a one to back out of a fight. I've never been one to duck somebody.
No, of course not.
What I want is that challenge. I want to get him out of the way because he is the person that was doing the best in that weight class.
For sure.
4-0, 3 knockouts.
Yep.
So I need to get him out the way because I want the big fights.
Right.
I'm not the type of champion that you have to take care of.
Right.
Like, okay, I got this big name now and I'm going to give him some easy. No, you don't got to take care of me. You got to take care of me like this.
Exactly. That's how you get that.
The biggest fight that I can possibly get. I want either a boxer that's undefeated, MMA fighter that just came out of UFC or ONE FC or whatever. I want the biggest name possible. Not Tyson. I ain't fucking with Tyson, man. I'm not trying to die, bro. Tyson to me is the greatest fighter for me as my childhood.
For sure.
People say Muhammad Ali. Well, Muhammad Ali, I love Muhammad Ali and everything, of course.
Sure.
But it wasn't my time.
Right.
To me, Tyson.
Yeah. No
pound
doubt.
for pound, the killer.
No doubt.
But yeah, I won't fight for that.
So when do you fight Jim?
So Jim, we're scheduled to fight now on Friday the 13th.
Ooh.
Here in Miami.
What month?
November.
Okay, right around the corner. 6 weeks away.
Yes. So now we're scheduled to fight. Now we're ready to go. The other, they had they just signed what's her name, Paige Van Zandt. Right. They signed her with a multi-million-dollar deal, and they were doing an interview, a press conference to introduce her and Thiago Alves. I was gonna fight a couple of weeks later. That he just did his debut, and they were gonna, they invited me over, whatever, and Jim was there. And Jim is walking around with a Toys R Us belt, man. This guy's walking around with a belt that he ordered on Amazon or something, and he pulled BKFC because he's the champion. He shows up to it everywhere with it.
Wow.
Right. So in the end of the
Take it till you make it.
Yeah. So in the end of the whole thing, anybody got any questions? I got a question. So I go to the microphone. I knew that's all I needed to do for the Chihuahua to start barking, right?
Yeah.
I say, hey, what's up with that fake ass belt over there? That's all I needed to do. The guy comes, starts, all the talking. And look, like I said before, I grew up fighting in the streets here.
Right.
There's many noses that I've broken with my forehead.
Right.
Get in my face because you get used to this.
Oh,
somebody's in your face,
him, right?
Yeah, you get somebody in your face, and next thing you know, when you start fighting him, they're hitting you from here.
Right.
So growing up in Miami, I start with the headbutt, get him out the way, and whoever's gonna come next.
Right.
Mind you, I've been doing that for many years. I wasn't trying to hit his nose.
No, it's a baby headbutt.
No, man. If there was a camera on my feet, I go on my tippy toes to make sure I hit the forehead.
Yeah.
And it was like 20%.
Yeah.
It was a thing because this.
No, it was mainly like when you get in somebody's way and you just kind of rub heads.
Yeah, man, because you can't be like, oh, we have the lights now. This is what he said on video. We have the lights, we have the cameras. This is pay-per-view right now. We can do it right now.
Yeah.
Meet me in the middle. What are you saying?
Yeah.
You can't say meet me in the middle. We can do it right now. Walk to my face, literally almost kiss me. He's right here.
Yeah.
And not expect for me to do nothing.
Right.
So that was a warning. Should I get out of my face, man?
Yeah.
Like I'm not playing with you. You know, I don't have to talk. We're gonna fight.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to duck. So all the show is you know, I kind of egged it on and I started because he's walking around with a fake belt.
Sure.
But don't get in my face and say, meet me in the middle and expect nothing to happen. So the ending for me is I want to go down as the undefeated bare knuckle champion. I want to introduce something new. Like if you look at bare knuckle, you see a lot of cuts, a lot of knockouts, a lot of hurt in the face, right? Like
a lot of damage.
A lot of damage. And I think I have the ability of, you know how they say, you brawl a boxer,
Yeah.
or you box a brawler.
Right.
I have the ability of both
Right.
because I was a brawler. You know, that
Who learned
fighter.
how to box.
Yes.
Right.
That fighter that Jim founded himself, because Jim kind of like reincarnated in the BKFC world. Because
Sure.
in UFC, he didn't do, he's a grappler.
Right.
He was a grappler. He was a boring fighter. So, you know, in bare knuckle, I want to reach at that level, kind of like an aggressive Mayweather, where I'm gonna display footwork, head movement, speed, and power. Where I'm not getting hit, you're getting hit. That's what I want to look forward to.
Yeah.
Right. I want to end like that, like a reigning champion, end my career the right way. You know, as you probably heard before in the past, my dream was never to be a fighter. My dream, if I had a dream as a kid, you know, when you have a dream as a kid,
Yeah.
was to be in movies.
Yeah.
To do movies, you know, to do like action fight movies and stuff like that. That was my dream, acting, right? Never stepped into it, but that's what I wanted to do.
Well, you did a couple novellas.
A couple of clips, you know, I just stumbled onto. But fighting was like a way that I saw it. Maybe I reach a certain height in popularity. Maybe I can get in a film here and there. That's the way I used to look at it. So maybe I look into that in the future in my head. But before that step, when you're chasing the fighting life, acting, you know, fighting, those type of things, being a ball player, right?
Anything.
When you're chasing those things, is that you're limiting yourself to only that one route, right? And sometimes you just don't make it, man. Sometimes you don't make it. You don't make enough money, or you just don't make it to where you
You don't make it to the top, maybe.
You don't make it to the top, right? So you don't
There's only
reach
so
those
many
expectations that
champions.
you want to, exactly, you know?
Right.
So it's kind of like going down the rabbit hole, you know? So before I do that, maybe, because acting has no age limit, you know?
Right.
Before I do that, there is, as you were speaking about earlier, some business that I've been thinking about for the last couple years and putting together, you know? And it's actually starting to make itself happen. And I'm going to step forward on that as I'm finishing my fighting career.
Well, I know for a fact that no matter what you do in life, you're going to be successful. You're going to be a champion because of all the lessons that you've learned going through all the way from back when you came over here, coming to Miami, going through MMA, now becoming a bare knuckle champion. All those lessons that you learned, you grew from that. And no matter what obstacle has been presented to you, you've turned it into an opportunity for yourself to become a better man, a better father, a better son. I know your family loves you like nobody else loves you. And I'm going to be here watching you grow. Our audience is going to be here watching you grow. And I just want you to know that you always have a friend in me. And this gym is always open to you. So in anything you ever need, I'm here for you, and I look forward to watching you continually grow and become a champion, not only in the ring, but in life too.
Thank you, man.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for tuning in. If you watched this whole interview, you are a champion yourself. This was our first podcast together, and I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. And remember, health first, development, and community. Those three values right there will take you far in life. See you guys on the next one.